Yoga talk. It's just a quick 10-minute talk. And today I'm breaking down dancer pose. So dancer pose is also known as Lord of the Dance. And its Sanskrit name is Nata Rajasana. Nata meaning dancer, Raja is like royalty, king, and asana is pose. So there's a lot of benefits when it comes to doing this pose. It stretches the shoulders and the chest. It also stretches the thighs, the groins, and the abdomen. And it strengthens your legs because you're standing on one leg. And of course, it improves your balance and proprioception. So like we did in our half moon pose last week, we're using both legs. So both legs are active. The grounding leg is pressing down, and then the lifted leg is actually going to be pressed into the hand or the strap that we're using. One thing that I do want to say about this pose, dancer pose, is that it is a big heart opener. So it's going to open up just this front part of the body and your heart chakra. It's really important. So this place of just love that resides in yourself. So it is best to do this pose when you're warm and you're prepared for it. So I'll be coming into the pose for this yoga talk purposes, coming in a little cold. So, and when you practice it here in our demo this morning, you don't want to jump all in yet. So when we move after the yoga talk into the practice, that's when you really can start to open it up. So I like to use the strap because it will help you gain flexibility. So dancer pose is this balancing pose where you're standing on one leg, the other leg is bent. Now, we grab the ankle, but most classical yoga schools, if it's possible to grab the inside of the foot or the ankle, if that's not possible, you grab where you can, or you loop your strap around your foot. So you could just take your strap like a lasso, loop it around your foot. And so then once you have that, right, you can hold your strap or you can choke up on your strap. So standing leg is balanced. You're finding a drishti. So there's a lot of strength starting at the base, pressing down into the foot, activating the standing leg. You're bending right from your hips. So really the movement comes from the pelvis. So as you're bending from your hips, you're pressing that back foot into your hand or your strap. The chest lifts, the gaze is forward. And you could feel immediately, right, there's a stretch in the thigh and there's a stretch in the shoulder, and then the opposite arm reaches forward. So, yeah, should we try it? So stand on your dominant leg. Stand on your dominant leg. If it's at all possible, you lift the other leg and you hold the inside of the foot. If the inside of the foot is not available, take the outside of the foot or use the strap. Set your gaze, ground down, bend from the pelvis. So everything is moving from the core of the pelvis. That lifted leg moves up and back from the core of the pelvis. The chest lifts. Even the extended arm, you're lifting. And then you release. Yeah. Let's do the other side. So standing, rooting down. It'll probably feel good to do the other side, and you could turn around or just switch sides. So reaching for the inside if possible. So right away, setting your gaze, reaching forward, and then moving from the pelvis so that hip bends. The back leg is lifting up and back. There's that gentle pressing into the foot, and then the foot pressing into the hand. The heart is lifting, the gaze is forward, and the breath is nice and deep. Go ahead and release. So that is our dancer pose. Does anybody have any questions about dancer?
I do.
Okay.
What's the advantage? What's the advantage of holding the inside of the foot versus the outside of the foot? It feels as if I can't get that foot higher if
So
I'm holding the inside of the foot.
the inside is just guiding, it's guiding that energy into the hips. So when you're outside, the leg could kind of get a little bit wonky there and
Oh,
press out.
I see
So
it.
everything is
Yeah.
hugging in. So that is, and also when it comes into the shoulder as well. So as far as I know,
Okay.
that's the advantage. But we want to make it accessible. So always you can use a strap, or you can hold the outside of the foot. I personally think just finding the pose that's going to meet you and your body where you are is always the best option and variation. And then there are subtleties. So really, this Lord of the Dance is actually, or dancer pose is actually, what happens is when you're in it, the arms come up and you're holding your foot with your hands overhead. And so the strap makes this one a lot more accessible. So I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's really, it's like a backbender's pose.
Mm.
And imagine the strap is my arm holding my foot, right? So that's the full variation of the pose. Whew, I'm already hot now. So does anybody else have any questions? That was an excellent question, Barbara. Thank you.
You watch ice skaters, they do that on their skates. They hold on to their foot.
I'm
Yeah.
always amazed.
Yeah.
I am always literally amazed when I see what those ice skaters can do while they're moving on that little teeny blade, you know, going very fast. Yeah,
I can't even do it before.
exactly. So I really feel like this is a good pose, especially when your body is prepped and warm. So don't get discouraged. Don't worry about if you need to come up to maybe your wall and hold your wall for balance the first couple of times. And throughout our practice this morning, we'll be doing a lot of preparatory poses. So that's going to open up your thighs and open up your chest first before you go into that big, big opening, right? It's a lot to ask your body, you know, first thing, oh, let's go ahead and go into this dancer pose without even having been warmed up.
I always have to remind myself for an internal rotation.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is where I start thinking about rotation, you know, that internal rotation and the bandha. Once again, it just, for me, if I don't think about that, it's just like,
Yes, exactly. So you are internally rotating your thighs, right? But at the same time, you're externally rotating that lifted shoulder. So the shoulder is externally rotating in that
but
pose.
then it all goes together. Once you get that, you're like pressing down here, feeling that, and that gives you the leverage, I feel, to open up on the top.
Yes,
That's
and there
what I
is a bandha through the feet. It's so foot is pada. So pada bandha is how you're grounding your feet on the earth. And that comes into play in all of your balancing, standing balancing poses. So it's really taking that foot that's on the floor and pressing down into the floor for the support. So when you press down into the floor, it starts to turn the muscles on in your leg. Same thing when you activate your Mula Bandha, you're activating the lower core, and that fires up the energy in the core. The Uddiyana Bandha is that middle area, which is also your core. It's more that middle core, upper core. And then your Dharla Bandha is keeping that neck long, so you're not straining your neck in the pose.
Yeah, I think really those are all essential. It's like pipes that fit together, you know, and then the water can flow, the energy can flow. That's how I always imagine it if I get it right.
Absolutely. And really, it's like your prana, your life force is flowing. Or if you're
Yeah.
talking about Tai Chi, it's your chi, it's that energy that moves through your body. But
Yeah.
what I like about being able to do this dancer pose is it's a balancing pose that links the upper body and the lower body together. So you're reaching back for your foot with your hand or your strap, and then that whole energy from foot to hand and the whole body is connected.
Yeah.
So
it's really interesting.
it's a
If you
loop.
get it, you know, for a little bit, it's like, yay!
Exactly. Exactly. Does anybody else have any questions about dancer pose? Well, we'll have lots of time to practice. So if you're just